Hello, and welcome to episode number 14 of the Serious Football Heads podcast. Today, as always, I have Tom with me on my right. And Tom, what do you got to say for this last week?
Hey, long-time caller, first-time listener. I think there's a couple of things that have jumped out at me over the course of the first 5 weeks of this season. One is that it seems to be, with the exception of the Patriots, it seems to be anybody's ball game. You can't. I haven't really been able to get a grasp on the ebb and flow of this season. Haven't been able to really pin down, teams like Detroit and Tennessee, Green Bay. Are they going to win this week? Are they not going to win this week? How are they playing? And it just seems to be really topsy-turvy as we've been moving along through the season. I think the bad teams are really bad. I mean, you've got Washington, Miami, Arizona. I'm going to still say Denver, even though they beat us last week at 1-4. But that was just a shock too. They came out playing like they just, are on their way to the Super Bowl last week, and prior to that, they've just been abysmal. So I think it's just really astounding what's going on in this league right now.
Yeah, it's been a crazy 5 weeks. I mean, there are teams who you expect to have, at least 3 wins by now that are sitting 0-5 like the Bengals, or they're sitting, 2-3, and it's just like, wow, why are these teams so bad? And you got teams like San Francisco that are,
exactly
4-0. Granted, they had a bye during this, so I mean, it's not the end of the world, but
yeah, but they're playing so consistent and so strong. I watched the Cleveland game the other night, and Cleveland's not that bad.
No.
As they looked, on Monday night. But the 49ers were just terrific.
Oh, yeah.
They came out, they strong, they didn't make any mistake. They weren't shooting themselves in the foot. They were moving the ball, boom, 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 boom. It helps when you have an 84-yard touchdown run on the first play of the game. But it's still, they just were relentless. I've been working on this little sequence that I'm going to do on another podcast I do called the Triple A's, which is astounding, amazing, and abhorrent. And the astounding thing for me, I think, is the way the young quarterbacks have been playing this year. You've got a couple of guys that are backups that came in Gardner Minshew and Kurt Allen, who are tearing it up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, both of these kids are walking on that field. The game's not too big for them. They're sitting back. They're making good decisions. They're moving their teams. Allen is undefeated.
Yeah.
And, which is even more astounding. And if I were Carolina, I'd be putting Cam Newton on IR right about now. I don't know that they'll do that, but that's what I would do. And then the other young guys, Josh Allen is playing so well, and Garoppolo is playing so well, and it's you're seeing the changing of the guard here.
Yes.
The amazing thing to me is the San Francisco 49ers. As I was just saying, the way that they're playing, and the confidence that they take to the field, and it seems to stem from Garoppolo, because when he's not in there, when they lost him last year, they were done, and you got to give a lot of credit to that team. The abhorrent is the Cleveland Browns red zone offense. I think they had 2 turnovers in the red zone Monday night. They're under 25% in terms of scoring once they get into the red zone. And that's something that you're never going to win many games if that's the case. And that's something they have to improve on drastically.
Yeah. I was watching the NFL.com on their app. They, because I got it set for the Seahawks. They were talking about how the way that San Francisco is able to run on the ball, Seattle should be able to do about the same thing this weekend, especially since Seattle played Thursday night and the Browns played Monday night. The difference in time to prep is huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
absolutely.
you can also overanalyze everything and come out and look like Cleveland did against San Francisco.
Yeah, I still don't understand. I mean, they were not playing that badly. They were hot and cold, but they weren't just
They were just
awful.
inconsistent.
Yeah,
That's what it
but
was.
they were just they were horrible that night. and I expect they'll bounce back. But as I was saying to start the broadcast, I don't know. It's hard to tell. You can't get a handle on these guys, and you never know what team's going to show up.
Yeah.
I do know that well, geez, I think I just hurt myself. I have to put myself on IR just talking about the Chargers. We have 8 starters out for this week, 5 of whom are on IR. We just put Mike Pouncey on IR yesterday. I know I've said it here before, but just once, I'd love to see this team at full strength and play for a season. And we're going to start getting guys back. Hunter Henry practiced yesterday. I'm sure he'll practice, do another light practice today. So in the next couple weeks, he'll be back. In the next couple weeks, Derwin James is supposed to be back. Adrian Phillips should be back, within a month. And Melvin Ingram has a hamstring. So who knows when that's going to be ready. He's going to miss the game against Pittsburgh on Sunday night. It just would be so nice to see this team play together once, just to see what they can do. Melvin Gordon, had a very inauspicious return last week, which I expected. You don't miss all that time and then just come in and tear things up. In most cases, particularly as a running back. And I know they'll work him in more, and he'll get stronger and stronger as time goes by. I just don't know that we're not a better team with Austin Eckler and Justin Jackson as far as our running game goes. Austin is he leads the league in yards per carry or something like that. I mean, he's having a great year.
Yeah.
And you're taking carries away from him to give to Gordon. And if Gordon starts producing, then that'll be fine. But do we really need that? I mean,
go with what's working until it breaks.
Yeah, and and I've said it before. I think Trent Williams for Melvin Gordon would solve a lot of problems for everybody.
Yeah, I'm just looking through the NFL.com scores for last week, and they have a little blurb about some key fact about the game. For your guys' game, it just says Vic Fangio wins first game as NFL head coach.
Yeah, there it is.
But
my nephew is a big Bronco fan.
Oh,
and he called me. He called me after the game, and he had done that once before, and it was years ago. And Ed Hockley had made a horrific call in Denver. Jay Cutler was quarterbacking. This is how long ago it was. He made a horrific call at the end of the game and a turnover, and denied the turnover to the Chargers. That would have won the game for them. Game would have been over. There's a minute left to play. And instead it went back to the Broncos, and they scored and won the game. And he called and started, and I got so angry. And I'm like, how dare you call me after a blown call like that? You didn't even deserve to win. Yeah. So he calls me on Sunday and FaceTimed me. So the phone, and I just start laughing. I went, it's been 15 years since you've done this. But he goes, we were 0-4. I had to call.
Said, he's got a fair point on that one.
I went, okay, all right, fine, you win.
Yeah, well, the 49ers are 4-0 for the first time since 1990.
Wow.
30 years almost now.
That's just, as I said, amazing.
So, let's see here. They also credited for the Cardinals game. Cliff Kingsbury wins first NFL game as head coach. 1-3-1 Cardinals.
Congratulations.
Seahawks are 9-1 in Thursday primetime games since 2010.
Wow.
So,
they got the Rams this week, right?
We had the Rams last week. We get Cleveland
last
week.
Oh, it's the 49ers go to the Rams this week. That's right.
Yep. That'll be
There's
an
interesting game. I looked at that long and hard as I was making my picks, and finally just went, are the Rams really going to lose 3 games in a row? Yeah, I think they are.
It's possible, but I can also see the Rams pulling that one out and winning that one too.
Sure, absolutely. They're playing at home, so that helps a lot. But there's that Super Bowl hangover that everyone talks about. The number is astounding. How few teams lose the Super Bowl and make the playoffs the next year. And I just see the Rams on this slide right now, and So, and the way San Francisco's playing, I just went, you know what? Play the hot hand. There you go. How are we doing on our picks, by the way?
You know what? I actually didn't tabulate this week's. I'll have to get
Well,
back
there
to you
you
on that one.
go.
I'll have to get back
I
to you
was
on that.
10-6 this week.
Give me just a second here. Let me pull it up because I do actually keep track of everything. I just never went back and actually
Yeah. Well,
tabulated
and
it.
again, this is like what I was saying about things that are weird. I'm 10-6 because I picked Chicago over Oakland. I picked Minnesota, or no, I didn't. I picked the Giants over Minnesota.
You did.
That was a stretch. I picked the Chargers over Denver, Dallas over Green Bay, Kansas City over Indianapolis. And as I was looking at this, I went, I bet you picked most of those same games. Because who wouldn't take Kansas City over Indy?
Exactly.
Who wouldn't take Chicago over Oakland? It's like
Yep.
you just don't know what's going on. There's another team that I'm really surprised about as the Oakland Raiders. They are playing much, much better than I ever thought they would. Damn it. And they're getting some, they've got a good roster, and they're starting to play together. And this win against Chicago was very unexpected, but very well earned by them. They did give up a 17-point lead, which I really thought was funny. But they hung in there and they won the game. So, you got to give them credit for that. I heard on Sirius yesterday, I heard somebody, I think it was Brady Quinn, say that when you're playing in London, the team that goes over first should be the favorite. And I know that Oakland went to Indianapolis, and then they went to London from there.
Yep.
And Chicago didn't go over until like Thursday. And I think that makes a huge difference. For anyone that's traveled to Europe, particularly from the West Coast, it's a grueling trip.
It is.
I mean, it kills you. It just knocks you right out because you leave here in the afternoon and you arrive there in the morning, and then you've got to get to where you're going, and then you got the whole day in front of you. And if you've got plans, you're out and you're doing stuff. And the last thing you want to do is sleep for the first day that you're there. And you can't, because you go to bed in the morning, you wake up at 6:00 at night, and then you're up all night long. So you've got to do that stretch where you hang in there until you can't hang anymore, and then go to sleep. And it's really grueling trip. I've done it several times, and it just takes it right out of you. So going over early is a great idea. I know Carolina left last night, so they left yesterday. They're there now. He said, we're going to get there. We're going to do some stuff. Then I'm going to put everybody to sleep, and we're going to get up, and our Friday is going to be our normal Friday, and everyone will be adjusted to the time. And I think that's the way to do it. I don't think it's as bad going from the East Coast, because it's like, if you're going to London, it's a 4.5, 5-hour trip.
Yeah.
It's just like going to Seattle or LA from the East Coast. But coming from the West Coast, oh my God, it'll knock you right out.
Where am I missing their game?
Which one?
Carolina.
Carolina, they're
There we go. It
playing.
was last week. I was looking for last week's.
Oh, last week's.
Yeah. I'm doing a quick tabulation here.
All right. Well, like I said, I was 10-6.
You mean 10
Oh,
and
wait.
5?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, yeah, 10-5.
Yep. Loss, and a win. Let's see. What did I do? All right. One. Lost there because I took the Bengals because I was an idiot.
I can't help you with that.
They gotta pull out sometime. I mean,
Well,
not...
yeah, they're put them on the list. There's another team. New head coach, new philosophy, but they lost so much on defense. They lost some really significant players, and they just don't seem to have any kind of spark or fire.
Yeah.
You watch them play, and it's like, I don't know, I got plans later. Let's hurry up.
Exactly.
Um, so I don't know what's going on in Cincinnati.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, the last 4 games I lost on all of them because I took the Chargers, Cowboys, Chiefs, and Browns.
Oh, there you go. Chargers. 8 guys out.
Let's see. So, yep, I got 10 for you, and I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 for me.
All right. So what are we, even now?
Yeah, I think we're even now, finally.
All right. That awful first week I had.
Yep.
So coming up, we've got this lovely game tonight. It's going to be a nail biter. We're not sure, if New England's going to cover the 17 points or not. I would give them 30 points because this Saquon Barkley is not playing. Sterling Shepard's not playing. They've got nothing going on there, and they're in New England. And rookie quarterbacks going into, I heard this on Sirius the other day, rookie quarterbacks going into Foxborough are 0-14 over the last 20 years. So I don't anticipate much more happening there. It's funny to listen to you guys talk about this game because they just go, yeah, okay, New England, or what are we talking about? I got nothing to say.
Yeah.
It's going to be a bloodbath. It's just going to be awful. So,
Yep, I
um,
got the Patriots as well.
and then you got Carolina, Tampa Bay. Here's another one. Jameis Winston has been playing really, really well this season. Much better than I ever anticipated, and much better than he started. His first game, he was not playing very well, and he's turned it around. He's had a couple of really good games. Thrown touchdowns, keeping his completion percentage up, and it really makes a difference. And I'm sure that's Bruce Arians' influence on him, because that's what Arians does. But I've been very surprised by his play because usually you don't see quarterbacks at this stage adjust, old dogs and new tricks
Yeah.
type of thing. And he seems to be listening, which he's never done before. So, that's made a significant difference in him, in his play. However, Kurt Allen, this kid, I have to be honest, I never even heard of him before. I know he was on the team last year. He played one game for him, but I know nothing about him, knew nothing about him. But you watch him play and you're just like, wow, this team and Jacksonville has some real serious decisions to make in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, they do.
Because if Cam Newton is ready and comes back and they start to lose again, which they will, they got to make a serious, strong decision there. And the same thing with when Nick Foles comes back. And I don't think Nick Foles even has a foothold on this position anymore. It's like I think I said before, it reminds me of Trent Green and Kurt Warner. Green went down after signing that big old contract, and Kurt Warner, who nobody heard of, comes in off the bench, undrafted free agent, grocery bagger, et cetera, and sets the league on fire. And guys are talking about Minshew in the same way.
Yeah.
Not saying that Minshew is going to be a Hall of Famer, but he's certainly having that that first year that Kurt Warner had, and
Yeah.
they're going to that's a that's a big decision to make. And they're married to Nick Foles. They gave him what, $80 million guaranteed or something to come
Yeah.
down there,
Yeah.
and he's going to be sitting on the bench because he's not playing. He will not play as well as Gardner Minshew unless Minshew gets hurt and Foles gets to come in as a backup. He'll light it up again because that's when he plays best. He doesn't play as well as a starter.
Yeah. That is true. That's the scary thing about this game is the fact that they're going over to Tottenham again. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The Panthers left yesterday. The Bucks haven't left until today, right?
I'm not sure when they left.
I
But yeah,
I haven't heard that they've left yet or not, but
yeah, me either. But pick the team that leaves first.
so There's that. Oh, and
So
it's a 6:30 in the morning game. Ugh, that's gonna suck.
that's East Coast time.
No, that's West Coast.
West Coast?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yep. I
No,
have it
that's
set
the.
to I have it set to show me the times local.
Oh, okay.
So,
Um, so what are you thinking about Seattle and Cleveland? I'd be pretty nervous if I were you.
oh, who are you picking? You picking the Panthers? I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, I'm taking the Panthers. Um, I picked Seattle in this next game, but only because Cleveland was so bad last week and has been so inconsistent. But inconsistency is really hard to pick because you don't know if they're going to be the good guy or the bad one. And having been embarrassed like they were last week and playing as badly as they played last week, they're coming home. They should be focused. They should be a much more consistent team and play, with more urgency. And but Seattle's playing so well,
Yeah.
and so I think Seattle's clearly the better team. But this is such a trap game for them going in because you you don't know what Cleveland Brown team you're going to get, and if they're totally fired up and pissed off because of how embarrassed they were last week, they're going to be a team to be reckoned with.
Yeah. I I obviously I'm going to be picking the Seahawks in this one. I'm not going to be taking the Browns lightly in this. There's definitely a chance that they can come out and just attack us because I mean, our offensive line can't really protect Russell all that well. It's a known fact. I mean, science has proven it pretty much. It's no longer just a general theory. It's a scientific theory, which means it's like a law almost at this point. But
Yeah, I read the report that NASA made. Yeah.
yeah, so, but in all seriousness, I think with the Seahawks having the time to prepare, it's going to give them a better chance. Not that this really means anything, but Russell Wilson has won the last 5 games against the AFC North. So we've played 2 this year. The last time we played the NFC North 4 years ago, we won 3 out of the 4. So that's
Yeah.
that's saying something.
Yeah, and they're just all the way around. They're playing really, really solid football right now, and consistency is such a big part of you know getting onto a roll and winning consecutive games. And Cleveland's been anything but consistent. So, yep, I
Yeah.
agree with you right there.
And I
Here's
really
an interesting one. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say I just hope that our run game can actually block like they were doing last week against the Rams for the most part against the Cleveland Browns, and we could actually open up some of those same holes San Francisco was doing.
Wow, if they do, look out. Chubb's going to have himself a field, or Carson's going to have himself a field day.
Yeah.
All right, so here's an interesting one in Kansas City and Houston. At Kansas City. So Houston's been playing better and better each week.
Yes, they have.
Deshaun Watson is starting to tear it up and looking great. Kansas City's starting to stutter a little bit. Mahomes has an ankle. I haven't heard that he's not going to play,
Oh yeah.
but he still has an ankle. And defensively, they're suspect.
Yeah.
And I think that was shown last week with what Indianapolis was able to do.
Well,
So, I mean, I'm picking Kansas City because it's in Kansas City, and that's always a tough place to play. But I don't have any doubt that Houston can go in there and win.
yeah, I'm actually picking Kansas City again because it's in KC. It's not one that I think that they'll lose, but I won't be surprised if Houston does come in because Houston is just their record says 3-2, but they should be 4-1 easy.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they did something like 50 something points last week, I think it was.
Well, here's interesting. I just opened this up. The Texans are plus 4.5.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm sure that has to do more with going to Arrowhead than anything else, because that's a 1.5 right there. So we'll see what happens. What is I wanted to check the official line here. Yep, Giants Patriots 17.
Yeah, I went to Football Lux. I got Kansas City at -4.5. So yeah, yeah. Baltimore. Oh, Baltimore
Well,
and Cincinnati.
Baltimore at Cincinnati. I'd pick Cincinnati again if I were you, because I think they're going to really turn the corner. Um, Baltimore, I said at the very beginning, I thought Baltimore was going to be 6-10 this year, and clearly because of Lamar Jackson. And then, of course, he comes out of the gate and tears it up against Miami and Arizona.
Yeah,
Since then, the last 3 games, he has not been tearing it up. He's not been playing very well. I don't. What's their record right now?
3-2.
They're 3-2. Um, I think they definitely can beat Cincinnati. I'm not concerned about
Yeah,
that. I'm definitely picking them, but they're not they are moving more towards the team I thought they were than the team that started the season. But again, they started against the 2 worst teams in the league. So,
yeah.
um,
They went 20. They won 26-23 last week against the Steelers. A Ben Roethlisberger less Steelers
yeah,
team. They lost to Cleveland 40 to
and they
25,
knocked out Mason Rudolph, and they had the 3rd stringer in there.
and they
You
still
know,
almost lost.
yeah. So, um, they're an interesting team.
Now, granted, the one of the 2 losses they had was to the Chiefs, while the Chiefs were able to still roll on people quite easily, even though it was only a 5-point game. Excuse me. Even though it was only a 5-point game,
Yeah,
it is one of those. Um, that's a team that I didn't even think they had a chance of beating, but the
and
loss
I'll
to
tell you, if
Cleveland,
Cincinnati, if Cincinnati can contain Jackson, if they can play defense well enough to keep him in the pocket and make him throw, they have a real chance at doing this. I was astounded in the first couple of weeks the way Jackson was throwing the ball. He's
yeah,
improved drastically over last year, but he still is not the premier pocket passer that you need to be to win in this league.
no.
So if they can do what the Chargers did to him in the playoffs last year, they will have a shot at winning this game, and maybe they come away with their first win.
So
It's
mark you
in
down for the
Baltimore.
Bengals.
No. No. Let me think about that. No. They're in Baltimore, so that's going to help
Yeah,
Baltimore as well. So
yeah. I've got the Ravens as well in this one because again, it's a home game. It's a home team type of thing where I'm just like, yeah, I got to give it to them because I think the Bengals could shock everybody and take out the Ravens here. It it, these division games, they're the hardest to pick because they know each other so well. But the difference here though is the Bengals are a new coaching staff, pretty much a new team. So therefore, you don't really know what they're really going to be like. So going off of their last 5 games, which is trend, I'm gonna have to go with the Ravens.
Bengals are 11.5-point underdogs.
Yeah, that's
However, if you want to make a bet, the Bengals on the money line are plus 425. So you bet 100 to win 425.
wow,
The Ravens are minus 625. So you bet 625 to win 100.
wow.
Um,
The Seahawks are 1.5 favorites, so a wash basically.
yeah. So here's another fun game. It's going to be champagne corks popping someplace in either Washington or Miami on Sunday as 2 winless teams face off and square off in sunny southern Florida to see who can end up with tank it for Tua. So this will be an interesting game. Now, if in fact Miami is trying to tank the season, and I don't believe that necessarily,
Right.
although all evidence points to the contrary, this will be where we'll find out. Because if they tank against Washington, there you go.
Yeah.
Um, Bill Callahan coming back as a head coach after just firing Jay Gruden on the road. I heard initially that he had said that Case Keenum was going to play, and then later in the day, he said, "No, I'm not sure yet, but it won't be Haskins." So who knows what's going on there? Um, Josh Rosen was just named the starter for the rest of the season, which they should have done from the very first game,
Yeah.
to see if he can in fact play. And they're going to square off, and we'll find out who comes away with their first victory. Watch, it'll be a tie. That'll just, how funny would that be?
That would be hilarious, actually.
I mean, it would just be a crack up.
Well,
So,
here's the thing: out of all the remaining winless teams, minus these two here, you have the Jets and you have the Bengals. The only one that's going to play any one of these other teams is the Jets, who could play both still.
well, the Jets in Miami, absolutely, they'll play them twice.
And then
So,
the AFC East and the NFC, and it's the NFC East that they're playing against, so they would face the Redskins if the Redskins lost. So you still
wow.
have you still have the potential of a winless team battle. Matter of fact, who are they playing next week? Let's see here. Previewing the week ahead.
That's amazing. You're absolutely right. With the Jets, the Bengals, though, Washington and Miami, one of them will get a win this week. But you could still lay down way down the season, still have winless against winless.
Yeah.
And then the Jets and Miami playing each other twice over the course of the next,
Yeah.
12 or 11 weeks, 12 weeks. This is going to be quite a scramble to see who can get that number one draft pick. I'll tell you, because they're playing each other. That's crazy. Wow. All right.
And who's is there really any college quarterback that's worth going for in the first round yet? I haven't been listening.
There's four, I think. Tua from Alabama, Jeff Fromm from Georgia, the kid from Oregon, and there's another Washington State kid who's tearing it up again. There's another one too, someplace in the Midwest. I can't remember, but there's 4 or 5 of them, and
Okay.
the class they say this year was so much better than last, and that's why everyone's kind of waiting. Of course, to me, the guy you're waiting for is Trevor Lawrence out of Clemson, and that'll be next year.
Okay.
He's in my mind anyway. He's Elway, Manning, Luck, this kid. So
So you want to add insult to injury to Miami, by the way, really quick?
yeah.
Washington's favored by 3.5.
How bad do you have to be to have a coaching change and an undefeated team come into your house and be the underdog? Oh wow!
Yeah,
So who are you
winless.
taking in this game? Who are you taking in this game?
Do you have a coin?
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm just gonna follow the line on this one. I think I'm gonna go with the Redskins on this one.
All right, I'm going to go with Miami.
All right. This
I
is
think that there's
so.
blood in the water and they can smell it.
All right. So what do you got next?
I've got Philadelphia, Minnesota.
Okay. This is going to be an interesting one at US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. 3-2 Vikings versus 3-2 Eagles. Both teams, I think, are better than what their records are saying. What do you think?
I think these are both very inconsistent teams, hence the 3-2. There's these are both of these teams are frustrating because you don't know who's going to show up. All right. Wentz is playing fine. I think the running game in Philly is fine. What's his name? The quarterback, Kirk Cousins, is all over the damn place.
Well, yeah, that's the.
He's great. He's awful. He's great. He's awful. Sometimes in the same series, it's
sometimes on the same play.
Yeah, it's like it. I never thought that was a great move to begin with. I thought they should have stayed with Keenum.
Mm-hmm.
He worked really well in that system. He took him to the playoffs. Everything was working great, and it was a sideways move. And it actually at this point is looking like it's a backwards move from what they had. Now, granted, Keenum hasn't done very well anywhere else, but in that system, he was playing really well.
Okay.
So, but they did it, and they are in the midst of this 80 million 3-year deal, and at the end of this season, they're going to have to renegotiate with him to see if they're going to keep him or not. And if they're not, then they'll play next season with him and then make another move.
Yeah.
I certainly can't see them, giving him that kind of money again. But Nick Foles might be available.
I think
um,
I think instead of throwing batteries, the fans in Philly will probably start throwing seats at the coaching
yeah.
staff.
So anyway, I'm picking Philadelphia on the road
All right,
in
this will be
this,
another difference. I'm going to go with the Vikings at home.
just based on a feeling.
No, that's about all you can do with this game.
Yeah,
Here's
because
an interesting.
I mean, Minnesota played well last week, right? They won.
Yep. So this week this is the way their pattern's going. So yes,
yeah,
I
and
should
so
not be taking
they're
them.
not going to play well this week, and they're at home, and they've been playing. They play better on the road, it seems, this year. So I'm going to take Philadelphia.
Yeah. Interesting note from the NFL.com is that the NFL's second leading rusher, Cook, from the Vikings, is going against Philly's top-ranked run defense. So
there you go.
And then we have Teddy Bridgewater in New Orleans has won 6 of the last 7 road starts in his career, with the Saints coming into Jacksonville.
Highest paid backup in the league, $7 million to be a backup to Drew Brees, and boy, have they cashed in on that.
No kidding.
What a godsend. I had Brees at 10-1 to be the MVP this year, of course. So now he's missing 6 or 7 games, so that's not going to happen.
Yep. And with his backup doing as well as he's been doing,
yeah,
you can't give Brees the MVP after that.
So they're going to come in, and Bridgewater's on a 1-year deal, so he could cash in next year, big time.
He could end up
absolutely,
in Philly.
and he should because he's a really good quarterback. He had that devastating injury early in his career, never got a chance to develop, and now he's getting a chance to show what he can do, and he's cashing in. And he's going to, he'll play. Brees is throwing again already. So I figured 3 more weeks, Brees will be back.
Yeah.
And there's, unlike Jacksonville and Carolina, this is not an issue. Brees will come back. They'll finish out the year, go as far as, as they can go. And I would not be surprised to see them in the Super Bowl. And then Bridgewater hits free agency. And he's going to be the number 1 free agent on the board.
Oh, yeah.
So good for him. And I did, in fact, pick New Orleans over Jacksonville.
I figured you did. Nothing to take away from the Jacksonville in this one. I just think that the better team is the Saints. Teddy Bridgewater is not carrying this team as the media would like to make it seem he is. He's just, let me keep this ship running while Brees is out because this is his team. And the team is responding to that because they know he's not trying to usurp the role. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's just like, let me come out and play.
Yep.
So,
and Jacksonville, whatever is going on the defensive side of the ball in Jacksonville, I think it's attitude.
It is.
They got so much talent there, and they feel entitled. When I look at them, I feel like they think they should just be able to show up and dominate. And, that doesn't work in this league at all. I don't know if Ramsey's playing it. I think he is.
Well, the Jags owners thinks that he's going to play, but there's no guarantee yet.
Yeah. So, I just think New Orleans is on a roll, and they're too strong a machine at this point in time. So I'm taking New Orleans.
Yep, taking New Orleans as well, and the spread is on Jacksonville by 1, so that's a positive sign for Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
So next up on my list, I have the Falcons at the Cardinals, 1-4 versus 1-3-1.
Falcons and the Cardinals.
Falcons are 5-1 against the Cardinals since Matt Ryan took over in 2008.
Yeah, in Arizona. I've picked Atlanta in this game. Excuse me. This is what I was like 2 weeks ago. Only times 10. Atlanta. Matt Ryan versus Kyler Murray, there's no comparison in my mind. It's got to be, Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
Atlanta's another one of these teams that's underperforming based on their roster. But against Arizona, I just don't see. I think this is a perfect opportunity for them to walk away with another win. And I think with Matt Ryan going against that Arizona defense, I just don't think it's a contest.
Yeah. It's hard to say because again, you have the Matt Ryan factor. He can make that offense, sing against this defense because he's done it 5 out of 6 times where he's beaten them. The Cardinals, just you don't know what you're getting because some weeks they look great, other weeks they look and they just miss it by a point or two. Then other weeks they look like they deserve to be 0-5 right now. So it's just I don't know. It's not hard to pick the Falcons in this one because that's who I'm going with as well. But you kind of could make a case that the Cardinals at home they might actually pull this one out.
Well, yeah, and they had their first taste of victory last week, so now they're getting a little bit more confidence. They see where they're going. They've learned how to hold on and win a game, which is really important. And it's very easy at this point in time for teams to turn around. I just don't see it happening.
Oh yeah, I don't see it happening either.
I don't know what else to tell you.
I totally get that. And I need to make a folder for this before I forget. There we go. So let's see. Next up on the list, I have 49ers at the Rams.
Dun dun dun.
Oh, wait, I got something for that.
Dun, dun, dun.
Couldn't resist. I've finally been looking for a spot to play that.
So, like I said when we started, is it possible the Rams lose 3 games in a row?
It's possible.
Yeah, I think it is. And with the amazing San Francisco 49ers, I'm taking the 49ers in this game.
Well, I saw an injury here for the 49ers. I thought I did.
And the thing about
right
the
tackle
49ers...
Mike McGlinchey is out for 4 to 6 weeks.
Oh, that's a bad thing. He played really well last week.
Yeah. So I'm thinking.
Yeah. But that's one guy, and their defensive line.
Oh God.
With the 5 first rounders, and finally those guys are starting to play.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my God. I just there's a dynasty building right there as far as that front 7 goes in San Francisco. The disappointment there is Solomon Thomas, who just can't seem to really rise to the level of everyone else. And I don't know if it's just because everyone else is so much better. So Buckner and Bosa and just the whole front 7 is just as strong as can be. So that's going to be a real challenge for the Rams to face. And I just have a lot of faith in San Francisco at this point in time, and I have no faith in the Rams.
Well, I think the Rams are going to be upset with their Thursday night loss, and with the extra preparation, they're going to come in and win at home. They're going to defend the home turf, especially since they lost on the home turf to oh God, who was it? The Bucks. That's what it was. It was the Bucks.
Yeah.
So I think that they had every reasonable thought to be winning the game Thursday night, and they lost it because the kicker just, I don't know if the wind actually came in and knocked the ball back a little bit to the right, or if he just didn't hook it enough. Who knows? But they should have won that game.
Yep.
So
kickers.
I hope he doesn't develop that issue that almost all kickers do when they miss one of those big game-winning field goals.
Yeah, no, it crushes them.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go with the Rams in this one. So that's 3 we're different on this week. So, what do you got next?
I have Dallas and the Jets.
Jerry and the Jets.
Yeah, Dallas and the Jets. Yeah, okay. I picked Dallas, and Enough said. Seems like Darnold's going to be back.
Yes, that's what
Um,
I'm hearing too.
and mono is awful. I don't know if you've ever had it.
No, I
I had it
haven't.
in college.
I
I had
haven't.
106-degree temperature. I was hospitalized for 4 days. It was brutal, and it just saps your energy.
Yeah,
It's hard to like just roll over because you're just feeling so awful. So, but I'm glad he's back and recovered. I don't know that that's going to make a big difference against this Dallas team. And not to say Dallas can't fall apart. They certainly can. They do it,
they did it last week against the Packers.
Yeah. And that's another thing that, a loss like that to the Packers going in to play the Jets, they're going in,
They're
to
going in
roll
angry.
over them. Yeah. So I'm taking Dallas.
Yeah, I'm taking Nellis in this one too. I got in the habit of actually typing in just before we picked, and I typed in Jets for some reason. I don't know why. I'm going with the Cowboys as well because they're angry because I think their two losses are the last two games, the Saints and the Packers, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. And it cracks me up too. People suddenly they win 3 games, they lose 2, and suddenly people are talking about Garrett being in the hot seat. And I'm like, just shut up.
Yeah.
No, that's not the way it works.
No, it's not.
You know,
It's just one of those. The Cowboys are too talented to allow themselves to go 3-3 in the first 6 games.
Yeah, particularly against the Jets.
Yeah, and actually, if you think about it, going 4-2 in the first 6 weeks against their schedule, that's not surprising because the Packers have always played them tough with Aaron Rodgers, always have.
Right.
And the Saints, like I said, even without Drew Brees, the team is playing consistently together. They're staying as a whole unit, which is why Teddy's having so much success. So, it's not an unfair thing to hear to think that the Jets are going to lose because again they're 0-4. I don't think that they'll win this one at all, but any given Sunday. So, but I'm still going with the Cowboys. I have up next the Titans and the Broncos.
Yeah, this is another one of those games. The Titans have been so inconsistent. It's so hard to pick, how's Mariota going to play? Back and forth. I still think they should put Tannehill in there, but I'm the only one I know that says that. Everybody else thinks I'm crazy when I say it. And Denver, as well as they play,
Miami?
Yes, I saw them beat the Chargers 33-0. Every time Tannehill comes on the field that I'm watching him, he plays great. And my buddy's a Dolphin season ticket holder, and when I say that, he goes, "What are you, crazy?" I'm like, "I've never seen him play bad. He always plays great, and he just gets hurt all the time."
Yeah.
But and then Denver, as well as they played last week, I just don't see that as who they really are.
Yeah, their team is not that great.
Flacco, the Chargers still should have won last week. They sacked. I don't know how many times they got to Flacco. They had 2 turnovers. They just couldn't do anything. It was I think Phillip Rivers' worst game in a decade.
Yeah,
he missed wide open guys. It was just a horrific game for him. And for whatever reason, and you have those from time to time, and so he usually chooses to do that against Denver, and so there's nothing, and it was a division game, and I just don't think that's who the Denver Broncos are. So I'm going to take Tennessee, but
yeah,
I don't know why. Just because I maybe Tennessee will play better.
Tennessee is an awful lot like the reverse of the Vikings. They lose 1 week, win 1 week, lose 1 week, win 1 week, lose 1 week. This is their week according to the pattern. So, but I'm also going with the Titans. I don't think the Broncos are what they were last week. I watched it. It was horrible to see what Rivers was doing to himself and the team in that.
Yeah,
and
the
then
Broncos
you also have 8 injured players.
Yeah, Broncos are 2.5-point favorite at home in Denver. And Denver is a tough place to go play. So there's not much to be said about that because Tennessee could easily walk in and win this game, and that's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah. So
And now, from lovely Dignity Sports Health Stadium in Carson, California, you have the Los Angeles Chargers and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
yeah, I'm going with the
Not
Steelers. No, I'm just kidding.
Steeler Rudolph is still in concussion protocol.
Yep.
I think he's going to play. The way they're talking about it, it's he's participating in practice, and I think he ends up playing. The Chargers should win this game, even if Rudolph does play. But who knows? Like I said, we got so many guys that are hurt, and so many, we have depth on the roster, but we're not 8 deep.
Yeah.
You can lose a guy, or 2, but you can't lose 8. Ingram's not going to play. I'm really surprised at Joey Bosa's performance this year. I thought he would be just like a bat out of hell, because it's essentially a contract year for him. He'll be, they'll pick up his 5th-year option next year, and he'll be in the same position that Melvin Gordon was in this year. And Bosa is nothing if not all for the money. And I really expected him to hold out next year until, they negotiate a new contract. And if at week 5, I think he has 3 sacks, 2 sacks maybe. I just thought he'd have 7 or 8 at this point in time.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't. He's pretty decent as far as tackles goes, but he's not getting to the quarterback this year, and that's not going to help him. When it comes time to say, okay, now I want to be the highest defensive player, paid player in the league, because right now it's not. Nwosu is outplaying him, as a matter of fact, as far as getting to the quarterback and what have you. So he was just PFF just rated him in the mid 90s, however that rating works. One of the highest rated defensive players in the league. So I'm really surprised about Bosa. Tillery, our first-round draft pick, has been a disappointment to me. It's like you never even hear his name when you're watching the games. He's been playing. He's had a play or 2 here and there, but he's not a force, And we need force in the middle of that defense, and we're not getting it. And our run defense is horrific. So, and a lot of that is because, Derwin James and Adrian Phillips are on IR. And until they get back, we're going to have this problem. And we've got an undrafted free agent at one corner. We've got 2 undrafted free agents, safety positions, and Casey Hayward, and no one's throwing to Casey Hayward. Why would you do that? But of course I will pick the Chargers because they are the Chargers. And Pittsburgh is not the team we thought it was going to be coming in. We all talked about how they've had a quiet camp and how they're focused, and now all the distractions are gone, and they're going to come out and they're going to really make a statement. And then they played that horrific opening Sunday night game against the Patriots, and they just haven't recovered from that. They beat the Bengals, but they've lost to everybody else, and in really inventive ways. So, I always pick the Chargers, but I would pick the Chargers here regardless, just because of the way the Steelers have been playing, and the Chargers are a 7-point favorite. So that doesn't mean anything. Don't bet that under any circumstances. Don't bet that the Chargers will win it on a last-minute field goal or something like that. Don't bet on the point spread for the Chargers.
Yeah,
it'll only it'll only break your heart.
Interesting. I might have to do this. You mentioned Pro Football Focus, and I know that they've got quite an in-depth stats systems.
Right.
And I was looking at their subscription forms for their Elite Annual, which is $200 for a year. Bit pricey for me. However, it says underneath it, no publishing rights, and that you have to request a quote for publishing. That is crazy.
Okay.
That is, I get it. They're trying to sell their product, but that's wow, just crazy.
So who are you taking in the
Oh, I'm taking the
Pittsburgh
Chargers.
Chargers?
Yeah, hands down the Chargers. They're the better team in this. And don't get me wrong, Rudolph in there is as a quarterback for the Steelers makes the team that much better. Because even when Ben went out against the Seahawks, he he still managed to almost bring them back to win that game against us. So,
He's one of those. He's one of those quarterbacks I was talking about earlier.
yeah,
He's playing really well, and and Ben could be done. This is a
major injury.
yeah, that's a bad injury at his age.
Yep.
And for him to say, okay, I'm going to do all this to rehab so I can come back and get that crap beat out of me again. And he's played 14 years. You gotta say, well, maybe this is it. Maybe this was enough. So we'll see what happens.
Yep.
But Rudolph, I'm a Mason Rudolph fan. I think he's playing really well. And again, one of these young guys, as the guard is turning over, his name is right there in that mix. So,
yep. And then we have Lambeau Field. We have the Lions coming in to face the Packers.
The frozen tundra of Lambeau Field.
Well, my car froze over this morning, so that's a.
I was in. One of the reasons I wasn't here last week, I was in Spokane, Washington, doing a charity event for breast cancer awareness, and the day before I was to leave, all my friends up there started posting pictures of the snow, and I was thinking, well, are you kidding me? So I get there, the snow's gone. I was there for 4 days left, and it snowed again. They got like 3 inches 2 days ago. And so I had no choice but to float in the pool yesterday and take pictures of my feet against the clear blue water and post it saying, "Hey, Spokane."
You're just evil like that, aren't you?
I know it. And I said in parentheses, I know, I suck. So anyway, Green Bay and Detroit. I'll tell you, one of the reasons I missed the last 3 weeks is I went to Detroit, and I went to the Charger Lions game in week 2, and I'd never been to Ford Field. Great place. What a terrific stadium it is. The people are terrific. We had a wonderful time. Except for the fact that the Chargers decided to have 2 touchdowns called back and fumble on the one. And boom, the Lions win. But the Lions are a much better team than people are giving them credit for. Stafford's playing really well. They've got a great defense, particularly in the secondary.
Yeah.
And this is going to be, I think, one of the best games of the weekend. I'm picking Green Bay just because it's in Green Bay. And it's a little chillier now. And I think Detroit is definitely a dome team. So I'm going to take Detroit. I'm going to take Green Bay, But it was interesting, too, because even in that debacle of opening weekend, that Thursday night game with the Bears and the Packers had 12 yards of total offense in the first quarter. And then suddenly 3 plays into the second quarter, Aaron Rodgers became Aaron Rodgers. And boom, they win the game. He's played pretty well since.
Yeah.
And it's hard to pick against him in his own own stadium. So I'm going to take the Packers over the Lions in Lambeau Field.
Yeah, I'm taking the Packers too. No offense, Brandon, but it's just hard to pick against Aaron Rodgers when he's playing on form. And the funny thing is he's not really playing on form like he used to. He's just relying on the rest of the team to help him win now, whereas in the past he carried the team.
Yeah, that's very true.
And the Lions could easily sneak in there and sneak this one out on a Monday night. And I have a coworker at the grocery store across the parking lot from me that she's a huge Packers fan. She's from the Green Bay area, so I'm gonna I'll have to give her some crap if the Lions do win.
Yeah.
Although she might call out sick after the Packers lose the Lions, much like Tom did, because that's right. You did call out sick after the Lions loss.
That's right. That was that week right after. Yeah, because I came back from Detroit week 2 on a Monday. I left following Friday, had to go to New York for a couple days, and then we went down to Key West with some friends, and then went to the Dolphin Charger game in Florida, and then came home. So back now for a little bit, and I think that's probably all the Charger games I'll make it to this year. That could change, of course, at any moment in time, but it was fun.
I almost had tickets to the game on Thursday, but it didn't work out in my favor. I have a regular that comes into my store that she takes a party bus up from I want to say Lakewood up to up to the stadium. Well, the friend that she was going with called out literally the bus leaves at 2, and the lady called out at 1:15.
Wow.
I mean, I would have, and the regular knows me well enough to know that I would go in a heartbeat, But
yeah.
the wife would be a little mad at me if I had went. But yeah,
So,
no, it's
all right.
Great set of
Well,
games.
there we go. There's our picks for the week.
Nothing really newsworthy.
Yep.
This week,
Mike Pouncey on IR.
The biggest news, because it's such a slow news week right now, Brady's second Super Bowl win left Daniel Jones heartbroken, because at the time he was 6 years old and rooted for the Panthers. So if that tells you how slow the news week is for the NFL.
Yep. So
all right.
Well, I need to get moving too. So
you guys
thanks
have a great
everybody.
Week.